Hello everyone and welcome to Go Again, a fabulous cast. I'm Andrew with you here as always. So the last hero from Arcane Rising has been revealed, and well, of course all the cards are hitting the street, so we're starting to see him, but when he was revealed, I think it's safe to say that he's not exactly kind of what I was expecting to see, and he is very, very, very intriguing. So that's what I want to talk about today is the Runechant Recap. Alright guys, so I was about to say unless you live in a hole, you know that Arcane Rising is out. However, I guess most of us right now are actually living in holes kind of in our own homes, right? That's kind of what it's become. Thankfully though, we all have the internet, so I think everyone at this point is well aware of what's in the set, where to get it, and have the cards if they do want it. I myself, like I've said before, I've just been waiting to do draft and sealed with my buddies before I buy a bunch of my product. That's how I want to get my cards in my hand the first time, is just to do that. So we will see when that happens. But let's go ahead and talk about our fourth hero, just kind of close out our hero recaps. So this is Viscera the Runeblade. Whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you've played another non-attack action card this turn, create a Runechan Token. So this guy is a standard 440 hero, right? Basically the only one that's not is the wizard. So before we go into anything else, let's go into that Runechan Token, right? Big deal. Runeblade Token Aura. And of course, auras stay in until they're destroyed, or we remove them somehow, right? When you play an attack action card or attack with a weapon, destroy Runechant and deal 1 arcane damage to the opposing hero. Right, so very obviously right here what we're starting to see is, okay, I create a token, it does 1 arcane damage. So this guy's kind of the bridge of these heroes where he can still do normal attacks, or at least it's implying he can do normal attacks, and he also kind of spits some magic out on top of it, right, for extra burn damage. I think there's a lot of cool potential with this guy. So the Runechant is very important because it basically feeds into every card that he has. All right, so before we look at his weapon, let's go ahead and take a look at Read the Runes. This is a Runeblade action. It allows you to just create 3 Runechant tokens for 0. So help get those on the table, right? So fundamentally, this card is 0 for 3 damage. That's not too shabby. All right, so now let's take a look at the Nebula Blade. Once per turn action, 2 energy attack, hits for 1. If it hits, create a Runechant token, okay? And if you've played a non-attack action card this turn, it gains +3 until end of turn. Okay, so this is really bad in terms of straight raw value, right? 2 for 1 seems really, really bad. So the idea here is that you want to be putting some tokens in play, doing something to create something, and it makes your blade stronger, right? So because obviously if you're paying 2 for 1, that's really bad value. So what you're going to be doing is trying to set it up, get those tokens in play, do something else, hit with the blade, and then that's how you're going to be stacking your damage. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at his equipment. We can go ahead and start with the legendary, which is Grasp of the Arknight. Once per turn action for 2, create a Runechant token. This ability costs an additional 1 to activate for each Runechant you control. Go again. Now that's very interesting because it really kind of hurts you on the stacking, right? So we will see later on there are a bunch of cards that matter for how many Runeblades you have, right? So it's not just Runechant tokens. It will matter because remember, not only does each one of those do the arcane damage, but they also stack with other cards. We also then have the Crown of Dichotomy. Action 1, destroy the crown. Put target Runeblade attack action card and target Runeblade non-attack action card from your graveyard on top of your deck in any order. It does have Arcane Barrier 1. So that's pretty good to get that recycling of your key cards. It also has a 0 defense, so I don't think you're really too sad about sacking this to get that stuff back. All right, so now we'll go into his Majestics and his Supers. So Arknight Ascendency 6. This is his spec. It costs 1 less to play for each Runechant you control. All right, there we go, right? If the Ascendancy hits, create X Runechant tokens, where X is the damage dealt by Ascendancy. And just to top it all off, it has Dominate. Okay, so let's break this sucker down real quick, right? So it costs 6, costs 1 less. So usually it's going to be, I think usually, looking at just kind of his other cards, I think usually you're going to be able to get this in for 2 or 3. I mean, it's probably not worth playing if you're not getting it in for that, right? So And maybe it's not even worth playing unless you can get in for less than that, meaning like 1 or 2. So just keep this in mind as we develop through the other cards of looking at how many tokens we can create at one time. And then the same for 9th Blade of the Blood Oath, which costs 9. Costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control, and this sucker hits for 9. Okay, so again, this is very, very simple. You want to create a bunch of tokens. When those tokens leave play, they do 1 damage, and then it also procs a bunch of stuff, or in this case, reduce the cost, right? All right, next we have another Majestic, Mordred Tide. This is a 0. This is an action, so this does not prop your tokens. Until end of turn, if you would create a Runechant tokens, instead create that many plus 1, go again. That's pretty neat. Spellblade Assault, this is a rare, but I wanted to call this one in. So, right, so this is a 2-drop. This is the red pitch, right? There's a 2-drop for 4. So in of itself, not super amazing, but create 2 Runechant tokens, right? So when you play this, whatever many of our tokens you have will pop, but this one poops out 2 more, okay? All right, Oath of the Arknight, your next Runeblade attack this turn gains +3, so this will not pop your tokens. Create a Runechan token, go again, right? So then for 2, you poop out a token, which is then in of itself worth 1. Then you can do something else because it naturally has go again. All right, so then just looking at these 4, right? These are all Runeblade cards. Create a Runechant token for 1. It's for 4. Again, that's the red pitch version. Reduce to Runechant. Reduce to Runechant costs 1 less to play for each Runechant you control. Create a Runechant token. Okay, now this is a defend react, so it does not pop it, which is really cool because they can be in play and stack. So if you had multiples, if you have multiples of these, they could actually, right? So you could do 1, poop out the 1, and actually make it for free, right? That is something you could do. This card I think is really, really, really good because it lets you on your opponent's turn actually set up your Runeblade tokens to kind of hit super hard next turn. Right, Rune Flash. Rune Flash costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control. Go again. Again, this is an attack action. But the natural go again. Now this one costs 3, so you're probably usually paying, I don't know, probably usually paying 1 for it, which is really not bad. 1 for 4 with go again. And then Amplify the Arknight for 3, costs 1 less to play for each rune chant you control. This one's 3 for 6. No go again on that one, but that's not too shabby, especially if you're popping 1 or 2 tokens to go along with it. So that's pretty much it. This guy, his lines of play are relatively straightforward as well. You just have to use the cards to get the tokens in play, and then double down, or not double down, but get more out, get as many out as you can, and then just use those to maximize. I do, at least on initial pass, I think that this guy's probably, of the 4 new heroes, I think this guy's probably the more budget friendly, just looking at it. Now, I want to be very clear. His Majestics and his Supers are still very, very good and are going to be very essential, I think, to playing competitively. However, when I look at him versus, especially like the Mechanologist, right? When you look at him versus those guys really, really, really depend on certain cards to kind of get their stuff going. And I think that functionally this guy can probably do okay just on his own in a budget format. And then to speak to him in Draft and Sealed, I think this guy's going to be very popular in Draft and Sealed. Everyone's going to be fighting over those Runechant tokens for sure. But I think he's going to be very popular because he kind of just stacks damage really well. So you get something out, it hits for the extra 1, it punches through. And you really think about it, you don't need to create that many Runechant tokens to do 20 damage, right? Especially in with the Draft or the Sealed is what I mean. So I don't know, I think this guy, we'll have to see how things develop. Again, I have not had, full disclaimer, I've not had a chance to get him on the table because again, I'm holding off. This is just all first impression type stuff. But I do think that this one's going to be a very attractive one to people, I think, across the board. So let's see how he does going forward. For those of you who have had a chance to get him on the table, please let me know in the comments what your impressions of him are, how he's been working out for you, the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay? So if nothing else, everybody keep staying safe, and if nothing else, go Commando.